Hey Crosspark, this is your weekly announcement video. I have a couple things coming up on the calendar for you to know about. First, next Wednesday the 12th is youth group D group night. So it won't be a normal full youth group event. Youth parents, be looking in your email and or looking for info from your D group leader to tell you what your group will do that night. Secondly, on the 15th, there's men's prayer. 7 a.m. Saturday morning at the house at Hemby, which is there at the bottom of the property as you come up the property. It's there on your left. So that's 3/15, March 15th. And then we have a women's event the following Saturday, March 22nd. It's a walk to / come to the table. So a lot of our women's events are come to the table events, time for fellowship around meals and conversation together. This is a walk to or come to, or walk to and come to the table, meaning women, you're going to meet at 9 a.m. at Squirrel Lake Park if you'd like to, and walk from there to Brakeman's. Or if you cannot or do not want to walk to Brakeman's, you can come to Brakeman's at 10 a.m. So you can walk to or come to the table. This Sunday, we're continuing our spring schedule. We started that last Sunday. So that means 9:30 Sunday school, 10:30 service. And we will continue. The adult and youth will be in the Sermon on the Mount. So because of weather last week, we were all together for the intro, and assuming that the weather is okay this week, always a last second kind of thing around here, as you know, especially in the spring. The youth and adults will likely be separated, but they will both continue in the Sermon on the Mount. So it was a really good start. We listened mostly to the text, the Sermon on the Mount, as Grant read it to us, and now we'll start to dig into the details. So 9:30 Sunday school, for all ages, 10:30 worship. Well, I'm going to save the sermonizing for Sunday, but we are going to be in Romans 12:1 and 2, which is a very famous, well-known, well-loved passage by many people with good reason. It's a fascinating passage and really helpful to us in our spiritual life. And it talks about the idea of being living sacrifices, presenting yourselves or offering yourselves to God as a living sacrifice. And so I pulled out a poem I wrote a little while ago that might just give you some helpful perspective. It was inspired by Psalm 5:3, which in the ESV says, "O Lord, in the morning you hear my voice. In the morning I prepare a sacrifice for you and watch." The Eugene Peterson paraphrase in the Message is Psalm 5:3, "Every morning I lay out the pieces of my life on your altar and watch for fire to descend." So catching the sacrifice idea, preparing a sacrifice before the Lord and seeing what will happen. So here's what I wrote, and I'll read it and make a comment or two, and then we'll be done. I call this poem oblation, which is another word for an offering or a prayer. Is this a collection of well-designed gears and flywheels waiting for a skilled assembler, or detritus of the fall, a smattering of pieces, leftovers from the splintering, that I push together onto your altar? Will ye receive and consume them? I await firefall. So again, in the mode of sacrifice as a kind of metaphor, meaning we know that we are not offering our physical bodies on a physical altar, and yet the sacrificial language is very powerful because it's totalizing, right? Like we're offering all of ourselves, all of our lives, all of our thoughts, all of our energies, all of our future, all of our past. We're offering everything. Everything we have, everything we are, we're called to offer to the Lord. And so as we look at that offering, we often wonder what it is we're doing. Perhaps we look, the nature of my poem was, perhaps we look at our own offering and we wonder, what is this exactly that I'm offering? Now, we of course know that this kind of sacrifice is not an atoning sacrifice, meaning this is not about atoning for sin because Jesus has done that for us. And yet we're still offering something to the Lord. And so in my poem, I'm asking, is there something here that the Lord can do something with? Can he take the pieces of my life and maybe turn them into something new or something else? Like there's a sense of renewal. But then there's also the sense of sometimes I look at what I have to offer and it feels mostly like brokenness. Okay, well, as I push those things onto the altar, what might the Lord do with that? So in my poem, among other things, I'm both trying to hit the dynamic where we struggle as we look at our own lives, and as we don't have the best perspective, sometimes we struggle to make sense of what we or God might make of the particulars, the pieces of our lives. And yet there's also a longing, a hopefulness that the Lord can take all these pieces, and whatever they might be, whatever category I or others might put them in, when I push all of it onto the altar, can I sit back and watch what God might do? Will he receive them? Will he consume them? Will he renew them? What will he do with what I have to offer? And that I simply await firefall. So, as we come with a sacrificial posture in our heart to God, we want to offer everything we have and see what God will do. So, just a little something to prompt you to get your heart and mind moving a little bit towards Sunday as we head towards Romans 12, 1 and 2. Thanks for watching this Cross Park. I will see you Sunday morning, 9:30 for Sunday school, 10:30 for worship.